Over the last 12 months, the retention systems my team and I have built have driven more than $23 million in attributed e-commerce revenue for our clients. And in this video, I'm breaking down the exact welcome email flow that I use for every single one of our clients so you can replicate it for your brand all live inside Klaviyo. If you're like most 7 or 8-figure DTC brands, your welcome flow is probably a generic 3 or 4 email sequence that was built once and hasn't been meaningfully tested since. You send the discount, tell your story, show a few products, and assume that anybody who bought would have bought anyway, but that's wrong. We changed nothing but the angle in email 1 for one of our clients, and that email converted almost twice as well as the old version. We've also increased welcome flow conversions by 40% just by changing the offer. We rebuilt the lifecycle system for one of our clients, and it doubled the repeat purchase rates and tripled their monthly revenue in under 1 year. So by the end of this video, I'll be able to build a welcome flow that converts curious visitors now and primes everybody else to buy later. So let's get into it. Before we get into the welcome flow, we have to talk about how you get people into your welcome flow, and that is through good list growth. So for most websites, most e-commerce brands, about 2 to 3% of people will actually convert and make a purchase on the first time they get to your site. That means 97 to 98% of your traffic will not buy. However, a good pop-up like what I'm showing on screen can get 10 to 20, even 25% of those people onto your email list. And this is the exact format that we use for every single one of our clients. So we use a mini quiz pop-up. So let's look at what some of these brands have. So this brand, for example, is offering the 18% off upfront, but before they let you enter the email, you have to share their diet. So dairy-free, keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, or gluten-free, similar to here from Ilya. So what are you shopping for? Nike Strength, same thing. What are you shopping for? So pop-ups like these are very powerful because 1, they improve opt-ins. You get people to commit to the opt-in before they give you your email. Number 2, 50%. On average, 50% of all site visitors will complete the quiz. So even if people don't opt in, you get a ton of zero-party data. And the most important is that you could use this quiz data to split your welcome flow. So instead of sending everybody down the same generic welcome flow, you split the welcome flow based off of why they're shopping or who they're shopping for, whatever their diet is or their skincare issues, whatever it is, you split the welcome flow accordingly. So let me show you an example from a real client account. So this is the welcome flow for one of our hair loss supplement clients. So these customers, they're dealing with hair loss, but they're in different stages. Some of them might have just started noticing hair loss. Others have been losing a lot of hair for years, and they're skeptical if anything even works, or maybe it's over for them. They don't know. So we ask for that in the pop-up, and we could see about 9% of people are just noticing shedding. About 51% are seeing visible thinning in certain areas. About 34% are showing significant hair loss. 2% are just trying to prevent it, and 4% is the rest. So first of all, we know that most people are either just started noticing some thinning or they're dealing with significant hair loss. This is the type of data that can inform your entire strategy, even your acquisition. And then from there, we send people down 5 different welcome emails, 1 for each one of the 4 quiz options, and then a 5th catch-all email. So for anybody that somehow they opt in somewhere else, so maybe they opt into the footer link or somewhere else, maybe from checkout, they get sent down this path, this catch-all path. So this is about 4% of people. And then every single one of these emails is different depending on what they're dealing with. So somebody who's just noticing shedding, we've mentioned that they're catching it early. They've just started shedding, and then we're telling them, hey, most people just Google their treatment. They just search. Instead, we're going to send them down our quiz so they can find the right solution for them, and talking about how early action matters. But some people are seeing visible thinning in certain areas. Their hair loss has progressed a bit more. So in those cases, we talk about how their thinning pattern matters, and based off of the thinning that they're seeing, they could be dealing with a different type of hair loss, whether that's hormonal or nutritional or something else. And then we send them down the quiz. So we have a version for this for every single quiz answer. And then from there, we also add in an SMS. So a very simple welcome SMS restating the 15% off that we offer. Now, this 15% off is not actually a unique discount. So this is a very important point, and I see a lot of brands making this mistake. They'll offer an extra discount in their welcome flow, but you do not need to do that. You're probably already running a site-wide offer, whether that's a 15% off subscription offer like this brand, a bundle offer, maybe something else, maybe a tier discount, whatever it is, just restate that in your emails and SMS. So this brand is restating the 15% off here in the SMS while funneling people towards the quiz. Now, after that, we wait a full day, and then we send them down another email that is a founder story. So this one, we're testing a plain text version against a designed version. You always want to test this out. Usually I see plain text win, but it depends on the brand. And this email is a great way to talk about the founder story and why the brand was created. And this is a great way to build a connection with the customer. And then, as usual, at the bottom, you funnel them towards a product, or in this case, towards a quiz. And then again, we send an SMS. So 2 SMSs in the first day. And we want to be aggressive because when somebody first signs up, they're the warmest they will ever be. Most of your purchases will come in day 1. Day 2 will have a lot less. Day 3 will have even less. And after about a week, they're really going to taper off. And now you're just hoping to convert them in a campaign. And some people will, but ideally you want to get them to convert in the welcome flow as early as possible. So you want to be aggressive. So that's why we're sending another SMS on the next day. This one's just funneling people towards the quiz. And then from there, you kind of mix it up. You test things out and see what works for the brand. After some A/B testing, we've noticed that for this brand in particular, the best formula is just offer 15% off. So just restate the offer and this offer 15% off for a subscription. And especially if you're on a subscription brand, make sure to restate all those incentives, all those risk reversals, and funnel people towards that. After that, we are sending a plain text email from customer support. So this is not something I see very often for brands. Most brands just send maybe one plain text email from the founder, but you want to mix in multiple personas. So the founder is great, but this email from customer support really offers customers a lot of help. It handles a couple of objections. It tells them that there's a real person on the other end, and it offers them a chance to get help if they have any questions or if they're weighing their options. Maybe they're thinking about your brand versus a competitor. So this type of email, it really helps them get those answers, and it allows your customer support team to function almost like a sales. And then after that, we get into yet another SMS. So after this email, for this brand specifically, we've seen the best email to follow is a reviews email. Now, this could be a reviews email. It could be a myths versus facts. Could be an FAQs email. Could be sending people towards a particular product. So this depends a lot on your brand. After the first 2 or 4 emails, just see what works well. A great way to test this out is actually see what works best in campaigns. If there's an angle that wins in a campaign massively, just add that to your welcome flow. For this brand, we've seen a reviews email work very well. So the way we have it formatted is these iMessage text bubbles, but you could try a couple other variations. You could do something like UVC, which also works super well, before versus after. And then after that, we offer a results timeline. So this is an email that every single consumable brand must include, every single subscription brand must include. So tell people what a year with your product looks like. And if you don't do this, they're gonna assume you're gonna get results instantly, but that's never the case. It always takes time. It always takes a couple of weeks, if not a couple months. So we give a results timeline. You say the first week you've just started. After a month, shedding begins to slow. You see initial results. 3 months they progress, 6 months even more, and then after a year, that's when you see the full results. So what this does, it sets the right expectations and it drives usage. So add this pre-purchase, but also post-purchase to drive usage, and tell people that they have to be consistent and use the product every single day for months to get the proper results. After that, the final email is just restating the offer. So in this email, we're offering 15% off, as well as funneling people to the quiz, just de-risking everything, saying it's just 2 minutes to take the quiz. And in 2 minutes, they'll find out what they need, and then they can get 15% off once they subscribe. So this is the exact welcome flow structure that we're using for this brand. We're using a very similar structure for all of our clients. So the winning structure is always the first one email, 1 or 2 emails you want to split based off of the quiz answer. And then from there, you add a founder email, restate the offer in email number 3. Email number 4 should be an email from customer support. And then you add on another maybe 3 to 5 emails just based off of what makes sense for your brand. So a couple great ideas. So reviews, before versus after, FAQs, us versus them, myths versus facts, objection handling. So if there's a couple common objections that people have, handle those, as well as just some offer restate. So for some brands, if you have a very strong offer, all you have to do is restate that offer a couple times and you'll get people to purchase. So now you have the exact welcome flow we view across the retention systems behind the over $23 million in e-commerce revenue. You've seen how we move somebody from immediate incentive through education, founder connection, product selection, social proof, urgency, guarantees, and finally a text-based extension. While understanding this flow and actually implementing it are 2 completely different things. And that gap is exactly what keeps good D2C brands stuck with weak LTV to CAC ratio, unpredictable backend revenue, the ceiling they can break through as Meta gets more and and more expensive. That's exactly what we do at Avanta Marketing. We build and run the entire retention and lifecycle system for e-commerce brands, from the flows, campaigns, list growth, offer testing, segmentation, and even subscription optimization. So the backend becomes a predictable growth engine instead of an afterthought. So if you're running a 7 to 9 figure DTC brand, click the first link in the description and book a call to see if you're a fit. And if you want to see how I use Claude to create high converting e-commerce emails, click the link on screen right now. I'll see you in the next one.